Hi, my name is Charlotte Boyd and I am a Department of Education speech pathologist, and this year I am one of the prep classroom teachers at West End State School. Today I'm going to be talking about shared book reading and how you can do this at home. So shared reading occurs when an adult and a child read a book aloud together. In the early years prior to school, it is most likely that the adult will be reading aloud to the child. Shared book reading is more than just reading the words on the page. An important aspect of shared reading is the conversation that occurs between the adult and the child during the reading session. So shared book reading that goes beyond just reading the words in the book is very important because it is an evidence-based technique used to improve children's language and emergent or early literacy skills. And we know that strong literacy skills are linked to academic success at school, higher qualifications after school, and strong literacy skills support us to develop into positive and confident people. Reading books with your child now can help set them up for success. So I'll now explain how to do shared book reading at home. There are three important things to consider when you're doing shared book reading with your child to support their language and early literacy skills. These three things are choosing the books, encouraging interactions, and keeping reading a fun part of every day. So the first thing we need to think about is the book we choose when reading. Choose different types of books, such as fiction and non-fiction. Choose something you and your child are going to enjoy and read your child's favorite books. You don't always need to read a different book or a new book. We know that a child needs to hear a story at least 4 times to understand it well. You can have rich conversations about different parts of the same book. To maximize a learning opportunity, we want to read books that support interaction and learning of new words. So we can do this by selecting picture books with a short story and books with a couple of sentences per page, rather than books that just have single words that are labeling pictures. So for example, I have a book here, and this book is called Something is Glowing in the Forest. The book was written by Jenny Wetton. And as you can see, the book has pictures on each page, and it also has sentences rather than just single words. So now that we have chosen the book, the next thing we need to think about is encouraging interactions. So it's really important that we encourage interactions about the story. You can be having conversations and interact about the book before you read it, while you read it, and after you've read it. So before reading the book, you can point to and read the title of the book, and you can make some predictions about what the book might be about. So I'm going to demonstrate with the book that I have here. Now, if I was with a child, before reading the book, I would point to and read the title of the book. I could say, our book is called Something is Glowing in the Forest. That is the title of our book. The title gives us clues about what might happen in the book. What do you think might happen? I think the ballerina and the boy and the dog, this little pug here, might go to a forest and see some lights. I wonder what is glowing. Let's find out. So now, once you start reading the book, there are several suggestions on this slide for some things that you could do. So you don't need to do all of these things on every page of the book, but pick a few to try and do while reading the book. Okay, so one of the first things you can do is let your child hold the book and turn the pages. Point to the words as you read them, and this will really help children to understand how to track across a page and understand that letters and words are different to pictures. You can also talk about the sounds in words. So for example, if the word dog was in the book, you might say, oh, that word says dog. It starts with the D sound and ends with the G sound. You can also explain any new words that your child hasn't heard before. It's also important to talk about the pictures. Talk about and describe the setting and the characters in the book. And make comments as you read. So take turns in the conversation with your child. You can make comments about the story by saying things like, I wonder why, or I can see a, or I think that. So while asking questions is important, try not to bombard your child with lots of questions. Lots of, what's this? Why is this girl doing that? Who is this? We want the reading to be enjoyable and fun for your child. Try and make more comments than asking questions. And it's also really important to follow your child's lead. So if your child wants to talk about something in particular in the book, have a conversation about it. It's okay if you don't read all the words in the book, as long as you're having rich conversations about the pictures or the story with your child. So if I were to demonstrate with the book that I have here, I might turn to one of the pages and I might read the page. So I might say, one of the moths floated curiously around Momo's snout. Look, Bobs, Susie said. They have eyes on their wings. And then I might have a bit of a conversation about some of the pictures and what we've just read. So I might say, oh, I can see 4 moths floating around. I remember when we found the moth in your bedroom. It was enormous and flying around the light on your ceiling. It looked a bit different to these moths. I might also say something like, oh, the word moths starts with a sound. Momo also starts with a sound. Let's make the sound together. Can you think of any other words that start with the sound? And so after reading the book, you can then have a conversation with your child. So you can talk about your favorite character and your child's favorite character or their favorite part of the story. Encouraging your child to use the pictures in the book to retell the story is also a great way to support your child's language and literacy development. To support your child's language and literacy skills through reading, it's important that reading is a fun part of every day. You can make it fun by using silly voices. You can act out some of the actions or using intonation in your voice to add emotion to the words you are reading. So aim to read for 10 to 15 minutes each day, but only read for as long as your child is engaged and enjoying the activity. Now, your child might already be reading themselves. So if your child is already able to read, encourage them to keep reading and ask them to read in different situations, such as shopping lists or menus or street signs. And it is also important to keep reading to your child even though they can read, because they can still learn from reading with you. Read books that are just above your child's reading level so that you can develop their language skills. Reading to children once they can read themselves is a really important aspect of language development. Now, most children are able to learn 2 or more languages at the same time without difficulty. It is not uncommon to learn a language at home and a different language at school. The more exposure a child has to each language, the better they will be able to learn the language and communicate. So talk to your child in the language you know best and the language you are most comfortable with. The stronger the first language, the better it will be for learning a second language. So if your child speaks multiple languages, encourage your child to keep reading and speaking in multiple languages. You can also look for books that have more than one language. And it's important to let your child code switch, so that means swapping between languages as often as they want to, because we know that some words are better captured in one language compared to another. Now, librarians have a wealth of knowledge about books. So you can ask your librarian for support when choosing age-appropriate books. And you can also ask your librarian for support with finding books about topics that are interesting for your child, such as space or animals or ancient worlds. If you speak multiple languages, you can ask your librarian for children's books in your first language. So thank you very much for tuning in today, and I hope you have learnt some new tips and tricks to use when next reading with your child. Bye.